Welcome to the Cyber Tech Podcast, inside the minds of everyday IT and cyber pros. Your host, Mike Fierros, will dive deep into the world of IT and cybersecurity, bringing you the stories and insights of professionals who are making waves in the field. From how they got started, to their most exciting projects, and their advice for aspiring tech enthusiasts, we cover it all. So, whether you're an industry veteran or just getting started, join us as we explore the fascinating minds behind the technology that shapes our world. Let's get started.
Hey guys, how's it going? Mike Fierros again with the Cyber Tech Podcast, inside the minds of everyday IT and cyber pros. This episode is episode number 4. This episode's we're going to be awesome because I have not only is he a good friend of mine, but he's also a former coworker of mine that I worked with and worked on different projects. Before the interview, I want to give a shout out to all of the folks on LinkedIn liking the post. And also the people message me, how to get to IT cybersecurity, asking different questions and whatnot. With your guys' questions, I kind of compiled a list of questions asked the guests as they come on that podcast. So I appreciate those guys. The gentleman I have here is a really good friend of mine, like I mentioned before, a former coworker, and it's been my friends for a few years now. So I'd like to introduce Ali Sangerman. He's a senior cybersecurity administrator for Discount Tire. How's it going, Ali? What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, Mike? Good. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, man. Appreciate it, and thank you for taking your time out on your busy schedule and whatnot. And you're one of the folks I really wanted to get you on here, so I appreciate your time, man.
Yeah, no, thank you, man. Thanks for thinking of me. Like you said, we've been friends for a while now, and it takes me back to when we first met. We'll talk about that
Yeah,
here in a bit. But yeah, man, thanks for having
for
me
sure.
on.
Oh, you're welcome, man. No problem. And Ali, we're gonna jump right into it. Give the listeners kind of a little bit background on yourself and how you got into cybersecurity.
Yeah. So a little bit about me. I think I got into cybersecurity probably like 5, 6 years ago now. And in IT overall, I think it's been about 10 years. I started off just kind of doing like a side gig, fixing computers in there for individuals, a variety of things for them, doctors' offices, especially in the Yuma area where I'm from, where we're both from. So, we're familiar
Yeah.
with all of that there. A lot of healthcare around that area. So I kind of started off there, but it's funny because IT wasn't my first choice coming out of high school. It's kind of funny how I kind of stumbled upon that career. But yeah, that's kind of like an overall thing. I've been in IT for about 10 plus years, I would say. Professionally, I would say like about 8 years, professionally in my career.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think overall I've dabbled in the IT space for about 10 years.
Since you got into IT, were there any things you had to do? Did you had to get a certification to get in IT, or is that something that you kind of knew somebody and then they gave you a chance? Is that how did you get into IT?
Yeah. Good question. I think with that, I didn't have any certifications. I just kind of went, IT has always been a part of me and what I like to do for fun on the side.
Mm,
So I kind of knew a little bit of IT here and there. I didn't get a certification until years later, after being in IT for a couple of years now, just because I kind of wanted to, expand my knowledge of what I know and kind of test
mm,
myself and, have those open doors for me as well. Because some positions require some type of certification if you want to kind of expand yourself over to those specific positions. So that's kind of where that spanned about. But along with that, I think I focused more on my educational career. I went the educational route.
mm.
I got my bachelor's in IT from Grand Canyon University, and from there, I decided to move forward, and I got my master's in cybersecurity from Grand Canyon University. And I
That's
liked
awesome.
it. Yeah, I like that field in the education, especially the programs in Grand Canyon University. I felt like a lot of those programs were very educational for me and expand my knowledge and how to deal with certain situations and from a management perspective too. And one thing too to mention is that I kind of see myself
Mm,
going at a executive leadership level in the future. And I'm not sure when in the future, but I have a feeling that that's the route I want to go. So because of that, I decided to pursue my master's, my MBA, and also from Grand Canyon University. So I have a history with them.
I've heard from different folks and just networking with different people that GCU is a really good, for people listening. I haven't taken myself yet or like anything like that, but just from networking abroad, I've heard a lot of people say good stuff about GCU's cybersecurity classes and program out there. So that's awesome, Ali. I think that's really I think that's really inspiring, Ali. Like, you knew what you wanted to do, and you got your degrees. I think I could hear something down the line, CISO Ali Sangerman in the future. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
that's
hopefully. Yeah, same here, man. I
for
think that's the
sure.
route, that's the vision I've had. And whether I'm gonna get, I've always told myself and other individuals, I always get like, yeah, I think you could do it. And I think so too. And I see myself, I'm gonna get there. I don't know when or where, but I know it's gonna happen. That's something I've always told myself.
Definitely.
And I just stick with that. But I think now I just kind of go with the flow, and I think I'm at a point in my career where I like what I do, who I work with, and the networking I've done, and I'm just kind of riding it. Still learning.
Mhm.
Keep moving forward where I'm at. I'm in no rush. I think financially and spiritually with my family and everything, I'm at a
Mhm.
right place. So there's no hurry. I'm still young.
And how important is it, like, for someone that's listening right now that wants to, that's in a different industry right now, let's say, like as an electrician, or maybe in logistics and a trucker, that's listening to this right now, with with the skill sets they have, how can they pivot into the field you're in cybersecurity? What kind of guidance would you give them if they wanted to ask you, Ali?
The guidance I'll give them is to just kind of look into the field and kind of dabble a little bit.
Mhm.
There's a lot of educational videos, a lot of stuff you can find online that could pique your interest. Depending, as we both know, the technology field is large. There's a lot of
Yeah.
aspects, especially in security. You got identity, you got governance, you got pen testing. There's
Mhm.
just a variety of things you could do within security itself. IT as a whole is even more. So just kind of look at different aspects of the field and see what's going to spark your interest. Do a little bit of research and kind of start connecting with those type of people, with me, with you, with whoever,
Yeah.
and do some type of internship, see if you could kind of help out. Mentorship, all of that stuff helps to kind of get you going, and then kind of get your foot in the door. And then but I think one thing, no matter what field you're in,
Mhm.
whether it be an electrician, whether it be fast food, it doesn't matter. I think the key thing you want to bring with you is your customer service skills. I think
True.
customer service skills and communication skills is going to be the key aspect of you being successful, because you want to treat, whether it's a customer you're selling something to or a customer internally an organization you got to help out. I think keeping those communication skills and that customer service skills is going to be important. I think that's something I've taken with me, from when I first started my job, working in fast food. And I think that's helped me out a lot, is the way I treat my customers and the way I communicate with people has really put me forward in a way that,
Mm.
it's something a lot of people, something so simple that a lot of people struggle with is communication and their people skills. And I think just having that in mind is going to take you a long way, no matter what field you're in.
You're right, Ali, about the soft, soft skills, communication skills. That's when I kind of started the same IT, same time you did. I kind of I pivot my career from law enforcement and into IT, but I struggled when I went to IT, because I kind of briefly told you, Ali, where it's like, when you work in law enforcement, it's it's black and white, and
Right.
there's a certain language you speak, and then you have certain email etiquette. And do you remember, Ali, when our old IT director Eric, he's like,
Right.
he essentially told me, Mike, your email etiquette kind of sucks, so I'm gonna have you take a class on email etiquette for an IT professional. But you know what,
Right.
as funny as it is now, I think about it, it really did help me, because I realized to myself, you can have all the technical skills, but without that soft skill, and communicating to users or clients, or even like to a board directors, administrators that don't necessarily understand technical jargon and how to communicate in a way where they can understand you, it's really super important. So just like Ali mentioned, guys, customer service skills is going to be really important, whether you get in IT or cybersecurity, because you're gonna not only going to deal with your coworkers, your colleagues, and stuff like that, but you also got to deal with end users, or if you work for MSP, MSSP, you're gonna have to deal with different clients across the country. We got to learn how to communicate in a way that they're going to understand, and at the same time, build personal relationships with them, and stuff like that. So no, that's really good insight.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Um,
funny that you mentioned Eric. He
mm,
told you that because that I think it's important when people kind of call you
mm,
out on your weaknesses, and because they want you to succeed, so they tell you, I think this is where you need to improve. and
For
these are
sure.
the reasons why. And there's a lot of people that kind of take that to offense, but I think you got to be open about it and take that in a good way, and to improve yourself and be successful. I'm not perfect. I've
Mhm.
been lucky enough to meet good individuals that kind of taught me the way, paved the way for me, and told me what not to do, what to do. And there's people I've met that I've looked up to, and I wanted to learn from them, and it was the total opposite. They didn't want to teach me. So you learn
Yeah,
throughout your path. You meet the good people, you meet the bad, and it's just something you gotta grasp and learn from it and grow. And in order to keep yourself moving forward, don't you're gonna hit those walls where you think nobody's gonna want to help you, but motivate yourself. Keep there's a reason
definitely.
why you got into that field, and remember that, and just keep pushing yourself.
It's so true, like, to like you mentioned, Ali, you surround yourself with people like that, and for those of you, still in high school or just came out of high school and in college, surround if you don't know anybody, definitely check out, LinkedIn, social media. There's people out there, they're willing to help you, kinda guide you a little bit on how to get into those fields and how to get into the workforce and or even at college level and stuff like that. So I encourage you guys, just Ali mentioned, kind of surround people that's going to kind of, show you the way, if you will,
Right.
and kind of guide you in that way. Also, as you get in the field, like Ali mentioned, as you guys get into the field, you'll find individuals that are more than happy to help you. They have a like collaborative mindset, learning mindset where they want to help other people too. And you'll find other individuals that don't. And so you gotta, like Ali mentioned, you learn from both in different ways and stuff like that. So definitely really good advice for there, Ali. We have a question that came in to a young guy here in Arizona, where we're located right now, and he's asking me. He was asking me essentially about Linux. So his question is this: essentially, he says, many beginners in IT cybersecurity are told that learning Linux is essential. Do you agree that Linux is a good starting point for those entering the field? What makes it so vital?
It is something vital to learn. I wouldn't say it's the most important thing to learn,
Mhm.
but it does open up the doors to other realms. I think Linux is more on the back end stuff. Is mainly kind of a lot of command prompt that you have to know, but it helps you
True.
out because that's embedded in a lot of the back end systems. A lot of the back end OS. A lot of
Mhm.
people don't realize that's a lot of the back end infrastructure is Linux. So knowing that is definitely going to help you out, but I wouldn't say it's the most important thing. I think,
Mhm.
as far as overall, let's say if we're specifically focusing on cybersecurity, my
Mhm.
recommendation is learn a little bit about networking. Networking is going to be a big aspect
Mhm.
of security, because you need to know, specific ports, and what malicious attackers use, what techniques, and a lot of that is network related, obviously, because they're
Mhm.
attacking you over the network. So if you could understand the network and how that works, and that topology is going to be very important. It's going to help you out
Mhm.
understand how these attackers like to penetrate these organizations, and kind of open up the realm with a lot of other stuff, governance. It all trickles down
True.
to the network. So if you're able to get the basic concepts of how our network works, that's going to help you out. So yeah, I mean, Linux is a great tool to learn, but I think I would focus a little bit more on the network side now that I have a little bit of a history kind of in the security field. And what I've noticed has, helped me
Mhm.
out understand how different scenarios work within security. I think network is a big part of that for sure.
For those, trying to get into, cybersecurity, the field you're currently in right now, I've had individuals tell me, "Hey, what's blue team? What's red team?" A lot of the individuals that I've talked to, definitely want to get into pen testing, which is a very attractive role and a competitive role too, though,
Right,
which is hard to really get into different organizations. You got a lot of competition out there. For those that, when you think about cybersecurity, you think about automatically go, red team, pen testing,
right,
which is
right.
good. But there's a lot of competition. Kind of speak a little bit about the other roles out there. I myself, I'm kind of doing kind of a half role of a little bit of GRC stuff right now. And I spoke to some students here in Yuma, where I'm currently reside, our old hometown here in Arizona, and they had no idea what GRC was, but they were just focused on pen testing and a red team and stuff like that. But kind of speak to the other roles in cybersecurity that don't really get that much exposure, or not really, I would say, very attractive in certain
Right.
things. I know the movies kind of put a lot of emphasis in red teaming and hacking and stuff like that, but kind of speak to other roles within cybersecurity.
Yeah, 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 definitely. I think the movies, focus more on the red team, blue
Yeah.
team type, hacking skills. which is fun. But I think, there's a lot of other aspects, when you're protecting an organization. You got your identity and access management team, you got your SOC analyst, network operations center analyst, engineers as well. The engineers focus more on building the tools, making sure you're utilizing those tools to its full capacity in order to protect the network. I think I mentioned security operations center. So you got those that are, taking care of those alerts,
Mm-hmm.
reacting to those alerts, escalating it to the other engineers or senior administrators, to act upon those alerts, investigate those alerts. A variety of things. Most applications now have their specialized security team that focuses on that specific application. I think where I work now,
Mm-hmm.
we have specific applications too where are very large with heavily used within our organization. So we have to have specialized, one or two individuals that only focus on that application, on its security, whether it be access, and how that application is configured. So there's a variety of things, whether it be application based or overall organizational based. Each organization has the specific roles with that, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
there is more to pen test. More than just hacking and pen testing. Those roles are fun, but there's a lot of other aspects that are important within an organization in order to keep it safe. Me myself, I enjoy security engineering. I like to build the tools, making
Mm-hmm.
sure we're utilizing it to its full capacity. I enjoy firewalls as well. I think within the last few years, I've been working with Palo Alto firewalls, and those
Nice.
firewalls are amazing, and I've really enjoyed my
Yeah.
time working with them, and with the vendor itself too, with support. I think they really got a good support system. Not to say that this
Mm-hmm.
is a sales pitch here, but that's a tool, that's a field I've enjoyed myself, whether it be Palos or other type of firewalls. That's kind of where I enjoyed myself, working with the networking team, kind of looking at these firewall rules, looking at the security
Mm-hmm.
policies, and I think this could we need to build this policy this way, and these are the reasons why. And in working with them, and they could tell me, well, we've tried it this way before, but this is the reason why we can't do it. There's legacy applications that you can't configure it a certain way, it also won't work. So all that to me is fun, kind of figuring that out and working with specific teams in order to get that working. But yeah, like I said, I think every individual is going to find what they like within security or IT as a whole, and pushing forward on that, and get with the right people in order to get involved. And for the most part, like I think, like me and you've seen in the field, most people in IT are willing to show you.
For
And the
sure.
reason is because our our workload is heavy. So if we could have someone help us out,
Yeah.
we're always willing to teach. If they're motivated, we're willing to teach them so they could help us out. So that's why, for the most part, it's hard to find someone that doesn't want to teach you, because they need help. So they're like, all right, I'm going to teach this individual, that way they can help me out, and then maybe they'll spark an
Mm.
interest and want to jump into this field as well, this part of IT or security.
Emphasizing, different other spaces within cybersecurity is super important to know. That way, you guys can kind of see, you guys can also research too. But yeah, shout out to Unit 42 and those Palo Alto guys. Those, yeah, I agree. They're the support that they have is really, really, really good. A lot more companies should be doing the support that they do. I remember Ali when we first worked together, when we got into IT. The environment there was very hands on, and so me coming from having more of a Mac OS experience, getting into a Windows environment. I remember we were really hands on. I think finding that first IT job, or even for those against cybersecurity right away, and having someone like our former coworker Lou, someone like Eric, where it's like you guys don't know much, but let me show you guys a little bit, kind of lay the foundation a little bit. And we were privileged enough to have people like that in the beginning. It's super important, to build a good team, whether it be IT, cybersecurity, in those spaces, because it's going to, it's going to allow you guys to have that collaborative mindset. Same as you, Ali. I love showing people, how to do certain things and kind of guide them. Because we know how it is to struggle and find information and trying to
Yeah,
find
yeah.
people to help us and stuff like that. So I still remember those days, Ali, when we worked together, and we're really privileged to have a lot of hands-on stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. I remember
Mhm.
those days too. As a matter of fact, that when we first met, that that was my official first IT job professionally. Before that, it
Mhm.
was side job, like I had mentioned at the beginning. going to doctors' offices, helping them with those Windows PCs. I didn't really work a lot with Mac, but I did work
Mm,
with Windows a lot and helping them with
mm.
backups and different stuff. And I was learning as I go too. I did it for fun. A little extra money on the side
Yeah,
when I was younger. But yeah, I think when we worked together here in that government sector. Um, that was my first official IT job, and and I'm grateful for Eric, the
for
manager at the
sure.
time there, the director at the time there, for giving me that opportunity because I think nowadays, I there's one of the questions I ask is, why are these organizations saying they're hiring, entry level positions,
Mm,
but they also say they want 3 years experience, and I just tell them,
mm,
yeah, I don't that's something I don't understand as well. I think that's something we got to fix in the field, and IT as a
for
whole.
sure.
But yeah, I think it's important to give that individual an opportunity to grow because
For sure.
without that, they're not going to learn. They're not going to grow. And with that position, I came on there knowing just the basic stuff I know,
Mm.
and I got hired on as a desktop support technician, and I believe you were the help desk, right?
Yeah, I was help desk at that time. Yeah, uh-huh.
Yeah, so and that's where I met you, I met Lou, Eric, our director, and working with you guys was great. I learned a lot, and yeah, I remember. I think Eric's the one that showed me how to, set up Cat 5 cable. Do all
Oh,
the
yeah.
splicing, and all that stuff. So I didn't know how to do that until then, and even build a PC. I had never built a PC from up and down, but
Oh,
based on our
yeah.
resources that we had there, all we had to do is build PCs because
Yeah.
using spare parts, and our the budget wasn't large, so I had to kind of use my creativity to build a PC from all the spare other PCs. But
Yeah.
it was a fun job for sure, and
It was.
we did a lot of learning, me and you and the whole team as a whole. But yeah, that's an opportunity. I look back and I'm like, you know what? I'm
Mhm.
grateful, for Eric, putting me on the team and trusting me to kind of grow myself. And I remember
Mm.
when I told him, I found another job that's going to help my career grow. He was disappointed, but I could also see he was happy as well. It's that mixed
Yeah.
emotion. He was glad that I'm moving up, and I've learned a lot while
Mhm.
I was there with him. But also because he knew he was losing someone that really got along with the team with me, you and
Yeah.
Lou. So that those are opportunities that you look back at, as the years go by, and you're like, wow, it's crazy. If he wouldn't have gave me that opportunity, where would I
Mhm.
be? Would I have found an IT job or not? Or would have I just gave up and pursued the other thing that I was pursuing at the time, which in fact was, in the medical field, I had gone to school to be an X-ray tech, and you know,
Awesome.
um, and at the time I didn't have a job, so that's when I got into IT because as my brother as well,
Yeah.
H,
Shout out to
you know,
H.
yeah, yeah. So shout out to him. He's the one that kind of connected me with the individuals
Yeah.
at the healthcare center down in Yuma. I became friends with them, and I was able to get my foot in the door. And that's kind of where, when I was with you guys there at the government
Mm.
sector, I went over to the healthcare, because I made those connections. And, this is where networking comes into play, and, get to know the right people and more doors open up. And yeah, I spent about 7 years there at the healthcare facility down in Yuma. And, I learned a lot. I
Nice.
started out at the help desk, which is, for those of you listening, I think starting out the help desk is very important. It's going to
Yeah.
build up your skills, your troubleshooting skills, your, skills to react fast to certain situations, especially in the healthcare field, because everything's moving fast. Everything's patient critical. So
Mm.
you got to move fast with certain requests, depending on the call that comes in. And then from there, I moved up. I was, became a desktop support technician again. And I was there for about a couple months. I would say about six months. And then,
Nice.
I met this manager that opened up a team, as an application analyst, managing all the imaging applications at the hospital. So, I moved
Mm.
over to there. He liked my work, so he's like, you know what, can I bring you over? So, yeah, so I went over there, managed the imaging applications. Different type of technology, but still technology, just a different aspect of it. The way you're dealing with images and how that's stored, and just a variety of stuff.
Mm.
Very interesting technology there. And yeah, so I was there about 2.5 years until they were building up their cybersecurity team there at the hospital, and I applied, because I was
Nice.
I was already in my bachelor's, about to finish, or I had already finished. I was going into my master's for cybersecurity, And I was like, okay, security kind of sparked my interest at the time because I was like, okay, this is something that's popping off. It's popular. So that's why the reason I went with my master's in. And I
Mm.
heard, they were opening up a security department. So like, okay, I'll apply. And yeah, I was lucky enough to be the first one hired on. So, I started that
Nice.
team there, and it was amazing. Same thing, that the hospital gave me a lot of opportunities, and I'm grateful for
Mm.
them as well because, that helped me grow and learn a lot. The team there, cybersecurity team, was me for a bit, just one individual. But, at first it was just kind of getting the things together and figuring out what needs to be done in order to have a security team. So, I work with the CISO a
Mm.
lot, work with directors a lot, kind of determining what needs to be done, in dealing with governance, dealing with pen testing, tabletop
Nice.
exercises. I got a lot of exposure there, and stuff now that I'm not even exposed to, because as you grow and the bigger companies you work with, you're more siloed on your profession, on what you do, which
True.
is normal,
Mhm.
which is, it's nothing to complain about. It's less stress for sure. But, having that exposure at smaller organizations to where you're exposed to everything also helps you out. It could be a little stressful at times, but, just hang in there and
Mm.
you'll learn a lot, like I did. And I'm sure you have as well, working for these other organizations.
For
You're
sure.
just exposed to so much, to where you're like, wow,
Mm.
there's a lot of things that go into, running a security team, or running a networking team, a desktop team. And, you just try to grasp little pieces of everything. And, some people remember everything, some people don't. I remember
Mhm.
the stuff that I'm working on, and, I'm not necessarily going to remember all the commands, and that's fine. And,
Yeah.
the important thing is, and I think this is important for every job, is use all the resources you have. We got the internet.
Mm.
A lot
Yeah.
of people like, oh, how can you remember all these? I'm like, I don't remember all these commands. I use Google.
Yeah.
What's, port, port 22, and, all these different types of ports. Like, do you know all these
Mhm.
ports? Like, I know some of them, but I don't know all of them. But this is where your resources come in. Ask an
Mm.
individual next to you. Ask the internet. Your internet is there to at your fingertips. So just use that. Anything available to you, use as much as you can in order to grow yourself and get the work done. There's always stuff available to you. And, I'm surprised to this day that there's people that ask me, how do you build a Windows machine? Like, I kind of like, have you looked
Yeah.
online? There's a lot of resources that show you how to build a VM for free. You don't have to pay, because I get a
True.
lot of questions, and, I think we had talked before about education. I'm involved
Mhm.
with education as a bit.
Mhm.
I've taught some classes here and there on the side, and, something I've enjoyed. And yeah, I get some students that ask me like, how do I do this? And, and I try to guide them in a way to where they need to kind of use their own researching skills to kind of look for that. Because,
Mhm.
I feel like that's kind of gone away. I think we're in a world that everything's kind of handed to you now. So I think it's
Yeah.
important to kind of show them the way for them to help themselves, rather than just be like, okay, here's the link, do this exactly, and you're gonna get through it. I'm more of a
Yeah.
like,
True.
here are your resources. Go through this information, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna find what you need. But if you don't, I'm here. Come back to me, and we'll figure it out together. If you hit a wall, and then, I'll let you go by yourself again. And if you hit another wall, then come back to me, and we'll keep moving forward. That's my way of teaching. That's my way,
Mm.
and it's maybe because that's how I learned. I had these teachers
Yeah.
tell me like, "Oh, here are the resources, Ali. Your answer is in there." I'm like, man, a pile of books and links, and I
Yeah.
got to go through. But, I did it, and yeah, I was able to figure it out. And what I found out is that I came out of that learning even more, because, instead of then giving me the exact steps on how to do something, which would teach me how to do that specific task. Um, Instead, they gave me a slew of resources to where I went to go learn how to do what I was trying to find, but I also learned new things that be like, oh, okay, I didn't
Mm.
know I could have done this as well to help me with this other task, because I was reading these resources, looking at videos, so on and so forth. So it's, while you're digging to look for something, you're also going to learn something else new that you didn't know before. And I think that's important, instead of just, giving the answer to an individual, be
Give an
like, this is
answer.
how you do this. Yeah. It is
Mhm.
helpful at times. It all depends on the situation, of course. And if there's stuff that you need to
Mhm.
get done real quick, of course, we'll be like, all right, do this and this, and that's going to help you get it done, to get, the system back up and running. But, like, I think as a teaching moment, it's important to kind of let them kind of figure it out, and then come back to you if
Mhm.
they've hit a wall.
Some good advice, Ali. Like it kind of gives someone that wants to get into cybersecurity kind of an outline a template on what to do. And guys, that's just like you heard Ali, his different roles. We used in actuality we both got into IT together.
Yeah.
That's two very Ali, you're a very good example of someone get into IT right away. Where me, a little bit older, pivoting into from one career in law enforcement to IT, and so having someone like Ali or myself or like our former colleagues, that's going to help a long way to set you guys' foundation. Someone giving you a chance like Eric. I'm definitely grateful for Eric and grateful for you guys too, Ali, to work with you guys. Whenever I remember, whenever because IT, both IT and cybersecurity can be stressful, and so anything can happen at any time, and so sometimes I'm doing stuff. I remember what Eric told me, about this, or our conversations we had in my, and so those are good times. And just like you, Ali, I remember those things, and it does help you as you further your career, whether in both in IT or cybersecurity. That foundation is really important, just like Ali mentioned. And digging, I agree with you, Ali. Like especially right now, people are given the information rather than digging. You'll notice, guys, as Ali's mentioned, as you're furthering, as you get into the career fields and accelerating it, advancing in it, you'll find that you do need to do some research. Like I find myself doing research almost all day. Like I have a project I'm doing right now, and my boss gave me that, how he wants it, and he's like, go for it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
he didn't give me the answers. He just, hey, I want this, and you need to complete it at this time. And I was like, okay. So you, just like Ali mentioned, don't be afraid of digging and finding things. If you guys have a question, we're always happy to message you guys. I'm always happy. Ali's always answering students' questions and stuff like that on the stuff he does on the side. So it's really important to dig in for the information, because you're gonna find in the fields that you're gonna have to research, especially if it's like an application issue, a coding. If you're in development, might be a coding issue. If you're on a cybersecurity team, you might have to research on the latest malware that's out there, different techniques that the hackers do and stuff like that. So research and learning is going to be the biggest thing in either IT or cybersecurity. So guys, just like Ali mentioned, encourage you guys to don't be afraid to dig in and research for yourself. Because like Ali mentioned, you're going to find out that you learn more than you would have given the answer, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, it's important. I think it's it's how you take it. Some
For sure.
individuals will take it good, some won't. We all have our different opinions, but
It's
at the end
true.
of the day, we're all here to help.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
funny how I still think back now, and I'm like, I remember that first time Eric told me, I need this individual at this department needs a PC. And I was like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
where are they at?" "Oh, well, you need to build it. There's parts here, there's parts there." And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "I've never built one
Yeah.
before." But I was thinking in my head, like, I never built one before, but I didn't tell him, obviously.
Yeah.
'Cause we're just hired. So I was
You didn't
like,
hear that, Eric.
yeah, yeah. Lucky enough, we already had, that was a smartphone era. So I think I had a
True.
Windows phone. I didn't remember. I think it was a Motorola. It was a Windows phone.
Oh, really?
I had something, yeah, and I remember I popped it up. I kind of was hiding on the corner, kind of like looking,
Uh,
what do I need for a PC, and this is missing. What do I need to put here? And then I was like, but that's how I learned. You know what I mean? I used my resources.
mhm.
I reacted quick. I didn't just kind of, I didn't look back at him and be like, what does that mean? What do I do? Like, where are these things? He gave me the basic concept. I need you to build. I need a PC for this department. Here are
Mhm.
you could get parts from here, here, and here, and all they need is office and this and that. He gave me the
Yeah.
basic of what he wanted, and I used my resources to figure out, okay, so how much RAM do they need if they would just want to run office and this and that. you know
Mhm.
these are the RAMs I have available, this is the hard drives I have available. Okay, like, I think most of the hard drives there had Ubuntu on it, and I was like, what the heck is Ubuntu? I haven't even
Oh,
been
yeah.
exposed to that. I remember I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then, but like I said, I used my resources and I was able to
Mhm.
build that PC and I put it up there and it worked just fine. But those are the hurdles that I went through. But it taught me an
Mhm.
important and a lesson in my life is, use all the resources available to you because they're there, and I
For
think now
sure.
in this world we're lucky enough to have the internet. And
Yeah.
back then, we were starting
Mhm.
off, and I had that, we had that, and
Mhm.
I used it to my full advantage for sure. And without it, I wouldn't be here today. It definitely gave me a step up in my career using those type of resources, but as well as asking you, asking Lou, asking Eric, different things that I didn't really know that really gave me a stepping stone. But yeah, I remember those days, and it was funny because I would remember, I was like, wow, how am I going to build a PC? I've never really built one from the ground up. I've worked with them, but really haven't opened one up and be like, okay, here's a RAM, here's a hard drive. How do you connect these? How do these communicate with each other? And it's like, it's crazy. Just kind of thinking back. I'm like, wow, it's all these little hurdles I went to, but I succeeded, and it wasn't alone. It was with the help of a variety of resources.
But yeah, guys, be curious on different things. Ask questions. Like Ali mentioned, use resources out there. Reach out to people. Don't stop until you get the answer. That you're looking for when you do your researching and whatnot. Back then, Ali, we didn't have AI, so leverage ChatGPT, leverage Poe, leverage any language
Oh
model
yeah, yeah. I think if
out
we
there.
had it
Yeah.
back then, it would have made it
Oh
even
yeah.
more easier.
Oh yeah, for sure. Huh? Step one, step two.
Right. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
now with this AI, for those of you out there, AI is making stuff easier. It's
Yes.
definitely going to show you step by step on how to do different things, how to build a VM. Even, I've had
Yeah.
different issues where, I'm dealing with a specific error message and I get it. And, I asked, ChatGPT, what does this error message mean? Why am I getting it after I did this, so and so forth? They're like, well, this is what you could try. You told me you did this. Try to do this, and it's like, okay, wow, it's giving me different routes, different avenues to take, and it's really helpful. So yeah, like I said, resources now are limitless. You basically got your own secretary to ask for any type of questions and things to go to. Your own teacher, your own anything that you want to make that AI want to respond to you back.
Thanks, Ali, for getting on here, man. And if someone wants you to contact you, how do they contact you, Ali?
Yeah, they could find me on LinkedIn there. Under my name, Ali Sangerman, and they could find me there, reach out, and we could, move forward from there.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for getting on this podcast.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, for all of you guys listening out there, just keep moving forward. Don't give up and ask questions. And, whether it be education or certificates, just ask around and someone's going to give you an answer based on what you're looking for. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no problem, Ali. And this is Cyber Tech Podcast, inside the minds of everyday IT and cyber pros.